Back. Welcome back to the live stream where we'll be looking at an AI Guild competency profile. So we're always looking at just one competency profile of an actual practitioner that worked with the AI Guild to advance her or his career by finding out what exactly their deep expertise is and by finding out in which direction they would like to move, what kind of are the next career steps they would like to have. So we'll be looking at a simple competency profile of a practitioner today. And here you have it. So we're looking at the competency profile of a senior data engineer. You can see here the overview. You can see that it's really based on T-shaped competency profile. And we're going to move on for you by showing you that this notion of the T-shaped competency profile goes back to the beginnings of the data profession. So already a decade ago, it was observed that the most successful practitioners are those with substantial deep expertise in at least one aspect. And what you see here is a representation, self-reported about skills. Back then, we didn't have the data analyst and the data engineer and the data scientist and the NLP person. We just sort of had the data business person, the data creative, the data machine learning person, and so on. But you can already see from this that they had different competency profiles and that the substantial deep expertise was typically in different areas. Okay, and this is what this is about. And over the past years, this has kind of come to be known as the T-shaped competency profile. You might have heard about it. So I said that people work with the AI Guild to better understand where their deep expertise are and how to advance their career. So this is what we're doing today again. And there are certain uses to this. And the uses that we see are 1, promotion, 2, outreach, 3, clients in particular, if you're freelancing or consulting, your LinkedIn or your Xing profile, your professional profile, and then finally, also, so to speak, in interview processes if you're looking for your next challenge. So for a promotion, you would schedule a conversation about your career opportunities. For outreach, you can use the competency profile to contact senior colleagues. For clients, it's to help the buyer see your ability to deliver. For LinkedIn or your professional profile, you would be able to refine the presentation of that. And you can also use it in an interview process to kind of steer the direction of that. Moving on. So the senior data engineer is what we're looking at today. And the first thing we want to look at is the deep expertise. So the deep expertise of this person is in 2 areas. It's in pipeline and in integration. It's actually, if you so like, a really clean data engineering profile, because if you think about what would be core competences of a data engineer, they would indeed be in data integration and data pipelines. So the data integration means that you need to be able to design, build, and run an infrastructure that really integrates all the data. So known today as data warehousing or the data lake, but more generically speaking about the fact simply that many companies are data rich, but this doesn't actually mean that they can make their data useful. To be able to make your data useful, you need to integrate it, whatever that then in detail means, but it all needs to be there. So number 1, data integration. And this particular expert uses Apache infrastructure tools, here in this case, Apache Nifi, as an integrated data logistics platform to automate the movement of data between 10 plus disparate systems. Also, he uses Nifi again for staging and testing the data. So the other part of that is if you can integrate data, you can start building pipelines. And here we have somebody who's deservedly a senior in the sense of building and maintaining 100 plus scalable data pipelines on Azure, GCP, and Snowflake. And he designs end-to-end ETL pipelines for IoT and real-time manufacturing-based data. So this is also a specific competency profile in a specific area. So it's somebody who started his career 5 years ago, who worked for a number of years in consulting, basically in a consulting firm that was providing data services to large multinational corporations, typically with headquarters in the United States, and who then moved on to work for a large manufacturing company in the semiconductor industry. So this is why we're talking about IoT and real-time manufacturing-based data. So these are the core areas, the deep expertise in data integration and in data pipelines. Complementing or complementary to that, we have here also expertise in working in cloud infrastructures. So here noted as transforming up to 10 terabyte of data using cloud functions like Azure Data Factory, Dataflow, and PySpark, and loading it into BigQuery, Bigtable. So this is on the Google platform, of course, but specifically this familiarity with the cloud infrastructure that is becoming ever more important, not just for engineers, but for anybody working in the data profession, obviously. You know that. And then the other part is visualization. So I think this is particularly interesting. So, there's a way in which data engineering, when you look at the engineering, really is about making stuff work, doing the hard work, doing the coding, doing the pipelines, being able to run all of this in cloud infrastructures. But there's also another way in which this is relevant, in the sense that while you do this work, you also need to be able to work with the people around you. Of course, your users, like data scientists or machine learning engineers, but maybe also other business partners, kind of like people around you, stakeholders, people that are investing in the data infrastructure, people that also co-determine how successful your data engineering will be and what your own career progress might look like. So I think it's interesting that this particular data engineer created 10 plus Tableau dashboards to ensure data latency and accuracy. So Tableau dashboards is interesting in the sense that this is somebody you can show even to people that aren't data literate, right? And there is something there that people can follow, that it can be explained to them, that you can look at, and so on. So I think this is interesting also because there was obviously a result, so it significantly improved data quality and the business defined SLA. Okay, so summarizing this profile here, we have a data engineer with 5 years of professional experience building cloud-based distributed data pipelines using Apache Spark, Python, Apache Airflow, Apache NiFi, and Snowflake. So he's been working in highly scaling environments, and he's particularly in the retail and the manufacturing domains, as I mentioned, for American-based multinational corporations. And the other part is in doing that, and also really what makes him then a senior is his daily communications tasks. So he has to communicate daily with stakeholders from 10 different countries around the world, and making sure that the data engineering function is actually up to scratch and is running up to the expectations of the people around him. So here you again have in an overview the competency profile for a senior data engineer. This is what the end result looks like. It's an end result that you can really use to start a conversation with your line manager, and it's also stakeholders around you or other industry colleagues. Why does it look like that? Why is it a simple representation that is kind of like a one-slider? The point here behind it is that if you really want to communicate your expertise, you have to be able to communicate it on the spot, briefly. So the way I like to think about this is that a competency profile should get the attention of your reader in 60 seconds or less. I think when you talk to somebody, you put it in front of somebody, you throw it up on a wall, you send it as an email attachment, you copy it into the email, whatever it is that you do to send it across, somebody will be looking at this, and you have like up to 60 seconds in which they're looking at this. And in this 60 seconds, something needs to happen. So what needs to happen is that they become interested, that they want to ask a question, that they keep looking at it, that it actually is meaningful, or they can somehow relate to it. Which is why this competency profile is just one page, but which is also why it is written, so to speak, in accessible English, so that people around you will get it. So the data literate people around you will get it anyway. There is enough, language in it that is really specific to the data profession, but also in the wider area, people will have heard of data integration or what a data pipeline is. So it's kind of like relatable and should start that conversation for you. The other, so to speak, specific reason why we're doing these competency profiles is that for some time now, the number one impediment towards advancing AI in more companies and more rapidly is that companies lack access to practitioners with the skill set that they actually really need. So the competency profile helps the individual practitioner to really articulate where their expertise is. So on the one hand, of course, data engineering profiles, competency profiles will look roughly similar. But then again, each one is unique, and we really make an effort to point out what your specific skill set is, what you specifically bring to the table, so that it becomes a lot easier for your company or your next company to really understand that you have this matching expertise and that you are going to raise the competency of the company as a whole and contribute towards removing those impediments and making the implementation of data and AI more successful. Now, if you also want your competency profile, there's a way of doing this. So what you first need to do is you actually need to be a member of the AI Guild. You can join the AI Guild through the website at theguild.ai. You join, you need to have a LinkedIn profile, you join the LinkedIn group, and that is how you're in. And then once you're in, you can sign up for a career workshop for members through the same website /events. And participate in an online workshop followed by an individual consultation that will give you your own personal competency profile. Okay, thank you very much for this. Thank you for listening and tuning in. If you have any questions, you can write to me in the chat if you so like. Okay, that's not the case for today, so I will end the stream and I will see you next Thursday, 1 p.m. Central European Time.